Is John Harbaugh going to force Joe Schoen out as the general manager of the New York Football Giants? We'll talk about that on today's show. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are closing in on 100,000 subscribers, and we need your help. If you want John Harbaugh to be the next coach of Big Blue, hit that sub button right now. Does John Harbaugh want to work with Joe Schoen? You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green, and there have been so many different reports from both sides of this topic. People saying he wouldn't mind working with Joe Schoen, while others are insisting, no way, no how, John Harbaugh, he ain't teaming up with Joe Schoen. Let's go to ESPN Cleveland, because this morning a major report came out from their radio show as ESPN Cleveland's Tony Grossi has found out what John Harbaugh's requirements are to be interested in the next head coaching job. Tony is saying $20 million per year, $10 million to the staff, total authority over the roster, and would like to select his own GM. So let's work from the bottom up, because they're asking, and plenty of people have already reached out to me saying, Marsh, have you seen this, Marsh? What do you think? Let's start at point number 4. He'd like to select his own GM. Done. Where do I sign? Make it happen. The Giants aren't going to let Joe Schoen get in front of hiring John Harbaugh to be their next head coach, right? The Giants wouldn't let the GM that's gone 13-38 over the last 3 seasons to stop you from hiring the Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame head coach John Harbaugh, right? They wouldn't do that. Please, come on. They wouldn't do that, right? Number 3, total authority over the roster. Well, I don't want John Harbaugh being the leader in the draft. I would like for his voice to be heard. I would like for his opinion to be valued. And maybe I do want him having the final say-so on picks. I still want a scouting department. I still want a head of the NFL draft, as John Harbaugh is going to be coaching for 6 months of the year. You won't be able to focus on the draft. But I definitely want John Harbaugh to have a say-so in essentially every single thing the New York Giants do. As hyped up as I am about him potentially being this team's next head coach, I'm even more hyped about what he could do for this organization as a whole. As a whole. Point number 2, $10 million to the staff? Fine. $20 million per year? Fine. Andy Reid makes $20 million per year. So it'd put him at the top. There's no salary cap for coaches. What you spend on a coach does not impact what you could do with your roster. You just sold 1/10 of your organization for $1 billion to the Koch family. This is why. Let's bring a big barrel bat to the game. Come on. Let's get with it. Pat Leonard also saying this. Sources tell me that they expect John Harbaugh to either essentially walk Joe Schoen out of the building to bring in his own guy, or if Joe Schoen were to be retained in the short term, it would look more like Elliott Wolf and Mike Vrabel, where Elliott Wolf as the de facto GM of the Patriots there prior to Vrabel's hiring. But when Vrabel comes in, everybody knows essentially Wolf works for Vrabel, not the other way around. It's Mike Vrabel's show. He has the power. So you're essentially neutering the GM, and he's a sidekick now. The people that I've talked to, that I talk to who I trust, and the people I trust believe, that would not be a match. That Harbaugh and Schoen would not work. And look, if John Harbaugh wants to be the head coach of the New York Football Giants, and John does not want Joe Schoen to be the lead decision maker for this organization when it comes to the roster and things the GM does, okay. Like, that's fine. You're the head coach that's had 3 losing seasons in 18 years. You're the head coach that has won less than 8 games one time. Like, you're going to be a Hall of Fame head coach. The Giants should be doing just about everything it takes, if not everything it takes, to hire John Harbaugh. Logan Ryan, former New York Giant, former Patriot, and former Titan, went on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams, and he said that John Harbaugh will not coach the Giants if Joe Schoen is still involved. So there's that. Like, if John Harbaugh wants his own people in the building, do it. Maybe don't tear everything down, and I think you should if that's really what he wants. And I don't know if Harbaugh will demand that. But if Harbaugh wants someone he can trust to rebuild this organization, notice I'm saying rebuild this organization because that's what it is. The roster needs to continue to be built, but this organization needs a rebuild. And if he wants to bring in people he trusts to do those things, why wouldn't you do it? If you're going to give this head coach this spot, you should be giving him every tool to succeed as well. Like, I don't understand it. I don't. There's also people like Ian O'Connor, who I believe in, as well as other New York Giants insiders and NFL insiders saying we won't know until after their upcoming meeting. But I'm getting the early sense the Giants GM Joe Schoen will not be an issue for John Harbaugh. It's not really Harbaugh's way to come in and wipe out a GM. He was neighbors with his last, Eric DeCosta, in Baltimore. Then Connor Hughes, literally that same day, went on WFAN and said there have been conflicting reports on if John Harbaugh want to work with Joe Schoen. He said that via the Evan and Tiki show on WFAN. So we're hearing it from both sides. Harbaugh doesn't want to work with Schoen. Other side is Harbaugh doesn't mind working with Joe Schoen. Like, whatever it is, do whatever it takes to get John in here. And I believe this firmly. If Harbaugh takes the job, this very quickly goes from a Joe Schoen organization to a John Harbaugh organization. You move where the power is. Even if Joe Schoen stays as the GM, kind of like Pat Leonard hinted at with the New England Patriots, where Elliott Wolf now kind of listens to Mike Vrabel. Like, this becomes a John Harbaugh operation. Like, you let John do what he thinks is best. Joe can probably learn a lot from John. Like, it's that simple. I don't understand what's so tough about this. And maybe the Giants believe that as well. We don't actually know. But I don't think it's a hard decision that if John says, yo, John Mara, I would rather bring my guy in who I believe in, that I trust, that I know is best for me and you. Because that's the goal, right? We all want what's best for the Giants. And if John Harbaugh thinks he needs to bring in his own guy to do so, whether that be Chad Alexander or somebody else, why would you not green light it? You're 13-38 in your last 30 years. And you have the second most losses since 2017. You could use somebody that knows how to win in this league and provide some direction. I don't think it's that hard to understand. A couple more thoughts coming up on today's show, but I do want to let you know that this shirt is on sale, almost 50% off. Go to chatsports.com/NYG shirt. It was $45. It's now $25. Get it today. Kind of some updates on the rest of the New York Giants head coaching search. A head coach candidate the Giants have already interviewed that I heard went really well was Kevin Stefanski. He has now completed an interview with the Baltimore Ravens. So there is now competition for Stefanski, like we all expected. And I would assume that he has a couple more interviews lined up as well. There are rumors coming out that John Harbaugh is going to travel to 1925 Giants Drive some point during the middle of the week next week. After the wild card games, and maybe he has his eyes on the wild card games, and if a spot like Buffalo opens up or a spot like Green Bay opens up or any other spot opens up, maybe he is interested in that. But we are hearing that next week during the middle of the week, Harbaugh is going to interview for the New York Giants job. It is not official at this point, so here are all the official head coach interviews that we have heard of. Mike Kafka, I have heard that interview is done. Vance Joseph had an interview on Zoom. Kevin Stefanski was in the building. They had dinner. Clint Kubiak's interview is reportedly scheduled, but has not happened. Mike McCarthy is supposed to come into town next week. Lou Anarumo, I don't think he's interviewed yet. I have not heard that. I assume that could be next week. Raheem Morris interviewed on Thursday, and Antonio Pierce interviewed on Friday. So the New York Giants reportedly had Morris and Pierce in the building the last 2 days, meaning they have met the qualification of having minority candidates in the building to interview to satisfy the Rooney Rule. So when John Harbaugh reportedly comes to town, whenever that is, they can offer him the job, and he can sign on the dotted line. We'll see. This continues to heat up. Maybe it'll speed up as well. I want you to predict it. Who is going to be the Giants' next head coach? sound off for me. And make sure you are following me on social media. The first spot you'll hear about who the New York Giants hire will be on my Twitter and my Instagram. So give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_.